guys, welcome back. I hope you're doing okay. So I don't know about you, but when I'm drawing, especially for a personal project, I often don't set myself time limits, which is really good because it means that there's no pressure and I can kind of set my own pace for it. But at the same time, I often spend way too much time on smaller details when really I should just be moving on. So today I am setting myself a challenge. I am going to try to draw the same character within a bunch of different time frames. So I'm starting with 1 minute and then 10 minutes, then 1 hour and finally 10 hours. So each time I am starting with an entirely blank canvas and the drawing is only complete when it's fully colored, and those are the ground rules that I've set for myself. So my internal perfectionist is really freaking out right now. I feel like I'm about to be exposed in an entirely different way, but let's just hop into the challenge and see how it goes. Okay, before we start, this is the mood board that I've made for myself. All of these pictures are from Pinterest and I went for mostly a cottagecore theme. Since I knew the 1 minute challenge would be a tight squeeze, there was no time for sketching. I just had to go straight in with the color. I didn't have much of a plan, but I knew I wanted to have her hair up in a low bun. I was panicking a lot because I really wanted to add more, but before I knew it, the time was almost up. Okay, that was stressful. She's kind of cute, but it felt like there was barely any time to change the color of the pen, and honestly, I think a child could have done something better. She doesn't even have a body, and the only thing that I was able to draw from the mood board was her hairstyle and also a little flower. I really hope that the 10-minute challenge gives us a better result because I am not impressed so far. This time I was feeling confident enough to start with a sketch, and I had this idea that I wanted the girl to be inside a frame. I'm still keeping the facial features quite simple because it felt like the time was moving really quickly. For example, I didn't want to get tied down with drawing her eyes, so I just kept them closed. I started to get a little stressed when I was moving on to the color. I didn't really have much time to consider the color palette, so I was just choosing randomly. I was also using the same brush for basically everything apart from the blush, but maybe it wasn't the best choice as all the edges are very round and they feel a bit messy. I think this is when I realized I was quickly running out of time and I needed to finish things up. I did go a few seconds over time, but I wanted to make sure that the frame was included. My fight or flight was definitely still kicking in there. I feel like maybe I was a bit ambitious and I took quite a long time on the sketch. The sketch was promising, but I think the coloring is still a little bit questionable. I did, however, manage to draw a frame, which is kind of the direction that I want to take this drawing, so I'm happy with that at least. Now it's time to move on to the 1 hour challenge. I was really looking forward to this challenge in particular because 1 hour is enough time to add a decent amount of detail to a drawing while still pushing yourself a lot. Most of my regular drawings take anything from 5 to 10 hours, so I was excited to see what I'm capable of in this time frame. As you can see here, I started with the rough sketch and I even took the time to draw in the eyes. I'm basically building on the frame concept that I started in the 10-minute challenge, but adding a few more details such as jewelry and lemons. When I was coloring this one, I had a lot more time to add in smaller hair strands to give her hair a more natural and loose look. I even had the time to add in some shadows and highlights too. I also used a much better brush than what I used in the first two drawings, and I was able to perfect some of the lines on her face. I wanted to add as much dimension as I could while keeping the shadows and things still quite simple. By the time I moved on to the clothing, I realized that there wasn't too much time left, so I kind of rushed through it a little bit just to get it done so I could move on to the final adjustments. I feel like the jewelry was a nice little touch that made the character feel super elegant. I was definitely panicking when I was drawing the lemons because it felt like there was a lot more that I wanted to do with them, but I kind of had to settle for these abstract looking shapes instead. Then, as time was coming to an end, I rounded it up with some color adjustments, and ta-da, she's done. Okay, that's more like it. Honestly, I was starting to lose faith in myself a little bit after the last 2 drawings, but this is getting much better. I was clearly still quite pushed for time, and the anatomy isn't quite how I would want it to be, but I could have posted this drawing on Instagram over a year ago and been really proud of it, so yeah. I think what I liked about it is that I was able to choose a more cohesive color palette and also do finer details like the shadows and the highlights, which was really satisfying. Overall, happy with that. Now it's time to move on to the big boss, which is the 10-hour challenge. As I mentioned earlier, 10 hours is basically a normal drawing for me. I realized recently that I often don't share my sketching process, and that's because I'm not super confident when it comes to sketching. I can spend a lot of time adjusting things, and I used to think that it made me a bad artist for my inability to create something perfect on the first try. Now I realize that it's pretty normal, so I'm gonna try and share more of it with you. By the way, this time I didn't include the timer because we didn't film every single part of the process, but the whole drawing took me 9 hours and 27 minutes according to the track time on Procreate. As you can see here, once I've finished the line art, I begin by coloring the flat colors. Also, at the moment, I'm really loving using brown line art because I think it gives everything a much warmer appearance. This time I got to go crazy with the hair, and I can't tell you how satisfying that is. It's quite popular at the moment to have lighter strands coming through the front of your hair, so I really wanted to incorporate something similar. Also, I really like adding blue tints to the shadows recently. I just think it looks really cool. This time I added some flowers to her neck and chest area, and I also added some more details to the frame to make it look like an old mirror. When it came to the lemons, I didn't really know how to create their texture, so I just gave them some freckles. I don't really know. Like last time, I'm ending the drawing with some color adjustments and she's all finished. Okay, so this is my completed drawing. I actually finished her in just over 9 hours, but I think that's more than enough time to spend on this one piece. This was effectively like doing a normal drawing for me, so I was pretty relaxed the whole time, and I'm happy with the outcome. I think doing the previous drawings in such a short time frame really makes you consider how much unnecessary time you can spend on a drawing if you let yourself. I do see a difference between the 10-hour and the 1-hour drawings, but I don't think that difference is as big as what you see with the 1 minute and the 1-hour drawing, for example. A lot of the extra time that I am spending on an illustration goes into the finer details, and sometimes it's hard to tell whether or not that effort was actually worth it. But yeah, overall I had a bunch of fun doing this challenge. It definitely pushed my limits, to say the least, but I would also love to know what you think about it too. Okay, so that is all for this video. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it this far. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and I also hope that you have a good week. Bye bye!
That's a wrap.
Thank you.